I'm Kate Ward, and this is your Dickman Farms Decorator Tip. Today, we're talking about those wonderful pots that just brighten up the winter and add a little bit of green all season long. That's right, we're talking porch pots. And that's what we have as examples on my right here. I have a larger one in this black simple urn. I have the smaller one in this little birch box, but you can really put them in any container that you have. And that's one of the ingredients that we need. So let's get started on your basic ingredients. What we'll need is we'll need some form of greens. Now, as usual, our favorite are the firs. And so here's a pile of Fraser fir that I have here. You could use another filler. This is a little interesting. This is actually an ornamental cabbage. We do have them here at the garden center, and they won't mind this early winter. They're just not gonna care. They're gonna freeze, they're gonna be beautiful. You can even cheat and spray paint them a little gold or silver to give them a little pizzazz if you want to. Leave them natural. You could do things like, what have I got over here? White pine, I can do cedar, I could do a little bit of boxwood, I could do branches, I could do stems like red dogwood, curly willow, birch branch, all sorts of fun stuff. The ideas are up to you, but we need to get the greens. Next, I'm probably going to want some sort of measuring device, but here it doesn't matter too much. It's mostly up to you. I tend not to use one. I just kind of eyeball it. So it depends on, this looks good to me in this size container. Oh, you might say, oh, I want mine taller. It's rough, it's not, doesn't matter, doesn't have to be as perfect as some of the other projects might. You'd want to be a little bit more precise. Next thing, we'll need our container. Whether or not it's a finished pot that you have outside, whether or not it's just a simple plastic, a birch box, whatever it is. Now, thing to bear in mind, up here in the Northeast, with that cold winters, those ceramics may not be your best bet, especially if we're gonna straight fill them. So you might wanna choose a plastic pot, or perhaps a plastic pot that drops into something like an urn, for instance. Then it's not so heavy, and we don't have the potential of the expansion of the soil that we're gonna put into it with the water as it freezes that may wreak havoc on that container. So just think about that when you're deciding what you wanna put this in. So you need your container. Then we're gonna put these in soil. These porch pots are meant to be outside where it's cold. So we're gonna put them in soil. They really aren't meant to come in the house, even this size, it's done in soil. If I wanted something like this inside, I'd use that floral foam that gives moisture to the cut greens, that oasis. But outside, we're gonna use this soil. Well, Kate, why are we using soil? Because soil we can wet down and it's going to stay damp. Now we all know as water freezes, it expands. So due to that expansion, when we stuff a green in it and we have all these needles and we do this, that water's gonna get all the nooks and crannies, the soil's gonna get in the nooks and crannies, and it's gonna freeze solid. So that if I were to pick it up, I could probably almost pick it up by its greens. When it's frozen, it's not going anywhere, which means that Mr. Winter there can blow all he wants, thank you Jack Frost, but these are gonna stay just tough outside. So soil is your medium that you're planting in. Pruners, and we love wilt proof. Again, these are cut stems, so if we get a January thaw or something like that, or a really warm winter day, this is gonna help seal the pores on the needles and make sure that they do not lose moisture, so consider it. So now that we have all of our supplies, well, what do? You can decide, well, do I have a front or a back or that? I like to start with I'm just gonna grab my branches. I'm not gonna go ahead and cut to any one size. I just grab my branches and eyeball it. So here's a big old branch, and maybe I'm filling this container. I use that cabbage as my center front, but I just kind of go, oh, this looks like the right length, or I like this big branch over here, and I just lops them off. And then these are a little low. I'm going to end up sticking this about this far into that soil, so I can either pull them off like this, or I could cut them off. Again, a little bit depends on your grip strength. And then this is the hard part, ready? You go, stuff, that's it. That's how hard it is, it's very hard. And then you take another branch you might have, and you go, oh, this is so difficult, I stuff. Okay, great, I'm done. Now the one thing I will tell you here is that you wanna make sure that you're turning the greens. as you go, because you can see there's a back side to them and a front side. So if they're all facing the same direction, eventually I have a direction in the pot. So you can see here, if I were to leave it like this, these would go right, this would go left, and I have a hole. So my next greens that I would choose, maybe this one, would maybe go crosswise. And eventually, as I keep turning those containers, I'll get this one so you can see. Whee! You can see this. I don't really end up with any one side, and all I kept doing was turning those greens around and about. You'll find that when you're done, you will have inadvertently made sort of a front. So I would say on this, I kind of have a flat spot, but that's perfect for later when we get to decorating. So don't worry too much about that. The only other thing that you want to get to when you're done, if you want to, I should say, is mixing in your additional greens. Now, I have here some white pine and some cedar, and it really doesn't matter where you put it, and you don't need a lot of it. You're welcome to use any mix that you like, any mix of these greens that you like, but you literally just mix them in and just kind of put them here and there, and some will drape a little bit more and show, and some won't. But when you're done, that's the beauty of this. You really can't go wrong. You just have things here and there, and they look beautiful, or they do to me, and they will to you. So things like that. So those little extra addeds that really make a difference. You know that we'll have them here. We have all the supplies you need to create your porch pot, and this has been your Dickman Farms Decorator Tip.